Earl the Squirrel by Don Freeman. Early one autumn morning, a gray squirrel was talking with her young son Earl. "It is high time you went out and learned to find acorns on your own," she said. But Earl didn't know the first thing about finding acorns, so away he sailed to visit his friend Jill. "Good morning, Earl," said Jill. "Here is an acorn I've saved for you." Earl was pleased to have had found such a big acorn so quickly. His mother would be happy. He twitched and twirled his tail, which was his way of saying thank you very much. "And here's a nutcracker to help you open it," added Jill. Earl scampered home, eager to show his mother what he had found. But when she saw him, she said, "Earl, come in here this instant. I want to speak to you." "Whoever heard of a squirrel needing a nutcracker? Why, it is absurd," his mother scolded. "You got it from Jill, didn't you? I bet she gave you the acorn too. That girl is making you into the most spoiled squirrel in the world. Now take that nutcracker right back." "You're back so quickly? And you didn't want the nutcracker? Well, never mind. I have an extra special present for you." And she tied the beautiful scarf neatly around Earl's furry neck. "I really made it for my doll," she said, "but he wanted you to have it." How proud Earl was of his scarlet scarf. Back home he sailed with his tail all unfurled. And when his mother saw the scarf, she said, "Earl, come in here this instant. I want to speak to you."
She said it again.
"Whoever heard of any of us needing something around to keep our necks warm?" his mother fussed. "Now that girl has done it. You are the most spoiled squirrel in the world."
That's not very nice.
Earl knew his mother was right. That night after supper, he tied his scarf into the shape of a sack. While his mother slept, he crept. Earl wanted to
so
show.
Funny.
Be quiet.
But she was
Wanted
like
to
a
show.
cat.
While his mother slept, out he crept. Earl wanted to show her that he could find an acorn on his own. All night long, Earl searched in the bright moonlight, under rocks, up in trees, and inside empty old moleholes, without finding one single solitary acorn anywhere. By morning, Earl was very tired. In fact, he was all worn out. His ears were getting cold. He tied his scarf around his head. "That's better," he said to himself. "Maybe that's an old squirrel hole for me to sleep in," thought Earl. But look who is inside. "Oh, excuse me," said Earl. "I didn't know you lived in here." "Who do you think you are?" hooted the great horned owl loudly. "And whoever saw a squirrel wearing a scarf?" "My friend Joe gave it to me," Earl said proudly. "By the way, could you tell me where I might find an acorn?" "An acorn?" hooted the great horned owl. "Why, certainly. There's a giant oak tree right over there full of acorns, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it if I were a squirrel wearing a scarlet scarf." Conrad the Bull would not like it one bit. You know what bulls do when they see red. They get awfully mad. But Earl didn't hear a word that Alice had said about the bull because he was already halfway over to the tree. And look who was snoozing there peacefully. Conrad.
He could just jump over there and not wake him up.
Earl didn't see Conrad's nose. All he saw was a great way to reach the acorns. And all Conrad saw was Earl's scarf. Just then, Conrad got awfully mad, and with one flying leap, Earl escaped up the tree, but his scarf came untied.
He had to do this.
It slipped off his neck and it dropped. Quick as a flash, Earl reached down and snatched his scarf. "Don't you tear my beautiful present," he shouted. Conrad snorted and charged with all his might. He charged right into the tree and his horns got stuck. He pulled and yanked until he shook the poor Earl out of the tree. Along with hundreds of acorns. Bonk! One fell right on top of his head. "Thank you, Mr. Bull," said Earl politely. "I didn't mean to put you through all this trouble. I just needed only one acorn, but I guess I'll take two. Tomorrow I'll come back for more." After trying 2 acorns in his scarf sack, Earl threw it over his shoulder and hurried back home as fast as he could scamper. Conrad grunted and groaned until, at last, with a powerful yank, he freed his horns from the tree. Down the hill he reeled, head over heels, until he was out of sight. When Earl arrived back home, he presented one of his acorns to his mother. She saw it and said, "Earl, come in here this instant. I want to speak to you." Once inside, his mother took a bite of the ripe acorn. My, this is the most delicious acorn I've ever tasted. How did you find it?" "Oh, my lucky scarf helped me," said Earl happily, and his mother finished the acorn. After his mother finished the acorn, he went to pay Jill a visit. On the windowsill, sitting very still, was Jill's doll. After taking out the acorn, Earl tied the scarf around the doll's neck. "Here, sir, I don't need this anymore." Then Earl gave his tail an extra twirl, and before he swept away, he left the acorn for Jill. The next night, the moon was full, and Earl returned to the giant oak tree. Thanks to Conrad, there were plenty of acorns scattered on the ground for tomorrow. But tonight, Earl scampered to a high branch and picked up one for himself. Earl the Squirrel is an example of animal fantasy because the squirrels, Earl and his mom, can talk. It also includes Earl's quest to find an acorn by himself, which is also a characteristic of a fantasy, is to go on a quest. They also have other human qualities as well. His mother accuses him of being spoiled, and he wears a scarf and
puts his trophy.
It's believable fantasy because the squirrels live in a tree, and in fact there is a real Earl the Squirrel, and you can find pictures on a website. The theme is extraordinary tasks can be accomplished when we believe in ourselves and our friends. Objects can be good luck charms, and for Earl it was a red scarf. But really, Earl's determination and bravery got him an acorn. The courage to try can be found in many sources, but it really comes from the heart.